here with Peter O'Hara of the Midwest Humanist Society here in Limerick. Hi Peter.
Hello Tom, good morning.
So what do you think of the Blasphemy Law?
Well, I suppose I was disappointed when they passed a new Blasphemy Act, because I thought maybe the old one was going to die a natural death or something, but the Minister for Justice appeared to be very firmly attached to the idea, and he told us he had to continue a blasphemy law. So I suppose it means that while you can give out any amount you like about politicians' views or social views or any other type of views, the blasphemy law says you can't give out to the same degree about religious views, and that you are liable to be punished in some way for it. So I see it as a big infringement of my freedom of speech, even though I probably only want to exercise that bit occasionally, but I know this law has it limited.
Yeah. I can see even with the media, like that's it can have a limit on what they can report about media, what's going on, say, in the church or something, where somebody could get offended or something like that. And it could just limit the media's freedom of speech as well, I suppose.
But there's smaller levels of publicity besides newspapers and the radio and television, because if you read the law, it would seem that any religious preacher on a Sunday or Saturday or Friday, if they say something in favour of their own religion, they are actually describing another religion as a mistake, and sometimes they do it in fairly strong words, and that means that they're each actually committing the offence of blasphemy, because they are describing another religion, or maybe several other religions, in a way that's going to outrage the supporters of the other religions.
But that's how what the blasphemy law is about. It was one religion against another. There was no atheists when the blasphemy law really came in anyway.
But I think the blasphemy law only made sense before, when it was protecting one religion, which was Christianity. But it's now, I know the government, including the Minister for Justice, wanted to protect any religion you like with it, but in fact, every time any religion speaks its own truths, they're actually blaspheming against other religions.
I was just going to ask you about the Midwest Humanist Society.
Right, the Midwest Humanists.
Being one of the first groups outside of Dublin.
I'm one of them, and they meet actually in Limerick, mostly in the Castle Troy Park Hotel, and at present they meet on a Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock on just about halfway through a month.
You do like Limerick, Clare.
Well, people come from Clare and Tipperary to the Limerick meeting, yes. Yeah. It's called the Midwest Humanist Group. I suspect they're never actually going to prosecute any preacher who preaches within their own church or building for blaspheming other religions. But if somebody says something in a more public way, then maybe they are going to get prosecuted. And the problem is that while it's all right, even with sort of 500 people in a church or a synagogue or a mosque, to say other religions are false, or even particular things, if you say it in a more public way, then it's really encouraging, the blasphemy law is encouraging people to be outraged. It's inciting people to be outraged at something that somebody else says, which is something that their supporters have been saying for hundreds or thousands of years anyway. It's nothing new, but they're encouraging people to be outraged at it. And being outraged means people think they've got a right to protest in a very strong way, sometimes heading towards violence. The law is actually encouraging outrage, and is in a distant way probably encouraging violence, which is not in the interests of the state at all. It's not in the interest of a good society.
I've actually heard many people saying that, actually.
My biggest concern is that it's kind of takes away from your freedom of speech, encourages people who have religious ideas to think that they're special and ought to be protected from criticism. Privileged from criticism, and it actually makes it harder for them to think carefully about their own ideas, which some of them might actually welcome, because if you had this sort of restriction on how you communicate with your friends, it might be only a small portion of the time that you tell your close friend something really critical about their ideas, which at first sight they wouldn't want to hear, but at a deeper level they would want to hear, and they value the fact that you can criticise them on a very deep level, but fully openly, And the blasphemy law is sort of saying that on the subject of religious doctrines, people are not to be making this criticism, and it's actually very bad for the development of society, because the development of society depends on ideas getting criticised and mistaken ones being gotten rid of, and people holding on to the better ideas.
Yeah.
Or crafting better ideas when they realise that certain ideas are mistaken.
Peter,
thanks very much, Tom.
Thank
See
you
you then.